So when we think about all this data, different categories of data in MEDITECH, it helps to understand how the data is stored. So how is it stored in MEDITECH, natively in the EHR? Well, it looks a little something like this, a black box. It's not really a black box, but MEDITECH has always been a proprietary hierarchical file-based storage system. That is to say, it's closed in the sense that you have to know MEDITECH's unique programming language to interact with it, to program for it, or more importantly, to write reports from it. From a reporting perspective, that means learning the built-in reporting tools that are included with MEDITECH. And in current versions of MEDITECH, there are two, NPR Report Writer and Report Designer. Now, the NPR technology goes back to 1979 and the earliest versions of Magic and later client server. And in some cases is still included in certain applications you can see here, even in the latest 6.0, 6.1, and Expanse versions of MEDITECH. It's sort of a legacy reporting application, if you will. The newer technology, and starting from about 10 years ago in version 6.0 of MEDITECH, and currently in the 6.1 and Expanse version, is called MEDITECH Advanced Technology, or MAT as it's abbreviated at MEDITECH, which under the covers relies on a programming language called Focus. So even with the newest versions of MEDITECH on Expanse, we still have some applications in the old NPR programming world and structurally, and most of the newer applications using the Focus programming language live on the MAT or Expanse platform. So really what that means is, as a report writer, we're potentially going to have to learn two different tools, proprietary tools from MEDITECH, if we're going to use those tools only to write reports. Just to give you some idea of how that data is stored, any longtime NPR report writers here will recognize the DPMs and segments, as they're known, which are the root storage structures in this hierarchy used for the older versions and applications in MEDITECH. You can see an example for lab DPMs on the left. And then we have some segment example names as they're broken down in the hierarchy from the order entry module on the right. And here's an example from an MAT system or a 6.1 system where now data are organized by application, which are further broken down into objects and which are further broken down into records. So in this example, we can see we have the registration application highlighted on the left, which has a collection of objects that all are named accordingly with reg, including the one we have highlighted here, reg account, which in turn has a variety of records associated with it. Records in turn have fields and keys and so on. So we go from the highest level on the application down to the most detailed level on an individual record. But understanding these storage structures is important because it really tells us how we're going to get after the data from a report writing standpoint, especially if we're going to use the proprietary native tools in MEDITECH. The benefit, however, of data repository is that it's a separate system. So what is it exactly? Well, at its simplest level, it's a big data warehouse. It's a copy of just about all of the MEDITECH EHR data that's kept up to date continuously in near real time from the source system. And it's stored on a separate server, a Microsoft SQL Server database that uses a different type of storage than the rest of MEDITECH. So because we have a physically separate system, there are some benefits to that. That lets us run and write reports against this reporting system, if you think of it that way, without impacting the production EHR. And it also has some added benefits in that we can use open tools or standard tools and software to write reports against that. Anything that will work with an OLADB compliant or ODBC compliant database, which is what Microsoft SQL Server is. So we don't necessarily have to learn Report Designer and NPR.